On full frame, you get like a real 2x Super 35 look. What's going on, guys? I'm Yeshaya, this is FireFace Films, and today we're talking the Blazar Mantis Anamorphic set. But before we do, make sure you drop a like, get subscribed, and click that bell to get notified when we post. Alright, on with the show. Now, I want to make it clear that this is only an overview, as I've only used these lenses on one film, and I'm still waiting on the 25 and 100. So make sure you're subscribed and do the full review on that 5-lens set. Let's get the boring stuff out of the way, which is that these are 1.33 squeeze anamorphic lenses with an extra trick up their sleeve in that they have an oval aperture, which in combination with their lens characteristics and design lead to a true 2x anamorphic feel, which is unlike any of the lenses at a similar price point and squeeze factor. All the lenses in this initial set are T2. They all are about the same size and weight, with the 75 being a little bit bigger and a little bit longer, and they all have rear protruding elements, which I don't know about you, but I would happily trade the lens being a little bit bigger if it meant that it wouldn't have such a prominent rear protrusion. Like, I really want to know why all these lenses, especially in compact PL lens designs, have these rear protruding elements. If there's anyone who could provide insight on that, please do in the comment section below. But besides that, these lenses are all built like tanks, and they come in a pretty decent case with space for the other two upcoming lenses. More in that case later. Let's actually talk about using these lenses. And honestly, they've been a dream. As long as I've been a DP, I have always wanted anamorphic lenses, but the higher squeeze factors like 1.5, 1.8, and 2 weren't ideal for the primarily 16:9 cameras I was using. And until these lenses, 1.33 squeezed lenses did not have the character that justified getting them. And honestly, that's where these lenses shine. They have character out the wazoo. And honestly, the image that comes out of these lenses looks a lot higher end than their price point would lead you to expect. A standout for me has been the minimum focus. The 35 and the 50 have a minimum focus distance of 1.5 feet, and the 75 has a minimum focus distance of 2.2 feet. Now, I'll be honest, I do feel like I find myself wanting the 75 to focus a little bit closer, but that's nothing a diopter probably can't handle. But if I'm honest, you couldn't fathom getting minimum focus distances like this on higher squeeze factor anamorphics, and that is really one of the strengths of these lenses. Okay, so unlike Blazar's other offerings, the Mantises only come in an amber flare option, which I'm not entirely in love with, as I feel like I would have preferred either a neutral or maybe even the blue flare option, but it might not be that big of a deal because these lenses don't flare very easily, and when they do, they aren't egregious like other budget anamorphics. And I will say, I had this one shot here where I shot it all the way closed down at T22, and the flare was very interesting. So these lenses can do some interesting flares, and I feel like if you use a light that counteracts the flare enough, I still have to test this, you could like get something that's not so amber. And there's the secondary green flare on certain portions of the image, which that's not ideal, but it's also not a deal breaker. Hey guys, mid-video update. As I was editing the video, the 25 and 100 arrived. I'm filming with the 25 right now. These are pretty cool. The 100 is very fascinating. And look at the flares in the 25 here. This is crazy. Watch this. Yeah. This is very, very cool. Yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed to see these in the full review when it comes out. And as previously mentioned, these lenses open up to T2. Now, when you're shooting at T2, the image does become soft and the chromatic aberration makes itself really apparent. And as soon as you stop down at T2.8 and beyond, the image cleans up very, very nicely, and I really like that. For me, I'm gonna be parked at T2.8 or below. As I've kind of intimated in the past, I do not really prefer shooting wide open. I'm certainly not going to be doing it on these lenses because it just seems like a bit of a hassle. The out of focus elements are absolutely beautiful with the anamorphic character. The focus fall off is really nice, and maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like you can see the smidgest of a smidge of that anamorphic character that we all love, which is the slightest bit of top and bottom focus fall off. You know, like maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like, especially in this shot here, you could see that. Now, let's go over some quirks of this lens set. And the first thing that really sticks out to me is that the foam that they've chosen easily shears off from the gears on lenses, and I can see that being a long-term problem with the little flakes getting in the lens, or worse yet, getting on your camera sensor somehow. This is something that needs to get addressed as soon as possible so that it doesn't become an issue for end users in the long run. From what I've gathered, all of these lenses render a bit of a warm image, but the 75 is noticeably warmer, so much so that you have to correct it in the grade. And depending on the situation, especially if you're doing a more saturated look, it can really stand out. And finally, we've come to the biggest quirk of all, which is that these lenses are advertised as a 1.33 times squeeze, but in actuality, they are a 1.4 times squeeze. Now, I can see this being a problem to some, especially when you're monitoring a set and no system is gonna have a 1.4 squeeze unless you're rocking monitors that can dial in custom D squeezes. But when you're in the post side, as soon as you can dial in that custom anamorphic D squeeze, you're off to the races. Now, on a 16:9 sensor, that 1.4 times squeeze comes out to, I believe, a 2.49 to 1 aspect ratio, which you chop off those sides, get to a 2.4 like it's nothing. To me, I do 235 to 1, but those are getting into the weeds of specific aspect ratios. But that's not that big of a deal. I would imagine this has something to do with the nature of how they were able to get this 2x look, which, if I'm honest, because of the results of what we're getting, I am not fazed by it. I welcome it. Because these lenses really do render an image that feels like true anamorphic. And this isn't a quirk. This is an observation of mine, that I find that these lenses, when used in a full frame sensor, really do equate to a Super 35 like true 2x image, especially when you're considering the field of view. If we head over to Tito Faradan's handy anamorphic calculator, you type in a 50 millimeter lens, a full frame sensor with a 1.33 squeeze on a 16:9 aspect ratio, you get a resulting field of view horizontal of 38 millimeters with an aspect ratio of 237 to 1. Okay, so then you take that same 50, put it on a 4x3 Super 35 sensor with a full 2x, you get a 50 millimeter horizontal field of view. So if anything, it's actually wider, which is fantastic than 2x Super 35. So that's one of the reasons these lenses rock, is that if you're using them on full frame, you get like a real 2x Super 35 look. And it's so amazing. That's why I love these lenses, and I cannot wait to get the rest of the set and fully test them. And again, make sure you're subscribed for that full review, because I cannot wait to share it with you. But that is going to be doing it for us today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this overview, and I hope you subscribe for the full review. And I will see you guys in the next one. And also, if you enjoyed the grade of today's video, please let me know in the comment section below. I'm working on something, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. All right, I'll see you in the next one.